What's going on? This is 8 Bars with 8barsbeats.com, and you're checking out the first episode of the Smart Music Hustle. Now for today's episode, we're going to talk about copyright. When do you own your copyright? What is copyright? And how do you even go about getting it? Let's get into it. Welcome again to the Smart Music Hustle, which is a video series that I'm creating to basically be able to help other people and professionals in the music industry by sharing the knowledge that I've actually been able to learn and gain over the years. Because I'm a very firm believer that the more you know about the business, the better you're going to be able to do in business, and the better you do in business, the more everyone's going to be able to gain. Now, first things first, let's clear up one of the simplest and yet seemingly most confusing things when it comes to copyright, which is when do you own your copyright? Now, if you're an artist or a composer, plainly put, the second you finish creating your work, you are the publisher, therefore the owner of that copyright. So for example, if you're a producer and you finish making a beat, the second you finish making that beat, you bounce it down to an MP3 or a WAV file, that beat is now your intellectual property, meaning you own the copyright to that beat. If you're a songwriter, the second you finish writing down those lyrics, or even if you're the type of songwriter that likes to freestyle everything, the second you finish recording it and you decide that that song is done, that is now your intellectual property and you own that. You are the copyright owner of that. You do not have to register your songs with any agency or with anyone to be able to own your copyright. And I think that where a lot of the confusion around that stems from is the fact that you can actually register your work with the government. The only reason that you would register your work with the government, which is actually a really good reason, is that that's the only way that the government guarantees that you'll be able to sue someone for money should they try to steal your work. So for example, if you're a songwriter and you write a song and all of a sudden you're walking down the street or you're in your car or you're listening to Spotify and you hear someone else singing your lyrics even though you didn't give them that song, then you would be able to go ahead and sue that person for money. But you do not need to register your work with the government in order to own your copyright. It's yours the second you finish creating it. Okay, so sorry for the weird transition. As you can see, I'm actually not wearing the same shirt. This is not the same day. I was actually in the middle of editing the video, and it actually hit me that probably the biggest reason why this subject really confuses so many people is because of the notion or the urban legend of the poor man's copyright that's been circling around for so long. And for those of you who don't know what the poor man's copyright is, it's basically just the notion that if you make a song or if you write something, all you have to do is make a copy of that, mail a copy of the song to yourself, or email it to yourself so that you can have the timestamp, and that timestamp is supposed to be able to prove that you're the owner of that copyright. But in all honesty, the poor man's copyright just really isn't a thing, mainly for two reasons. Reason number one being, the second you finish creating your work, you're automatically the owner of your copyright. So that means that you don't have to actually send it to yourself or send it anywhere in order to be able to prove that you own your copyright. And then again, according to the US government, the only way that they can guarantee that you can sue and get damages for your work if someone steals it is if you register it with the Copyright Office. But again, the poor man's copyright is not a thing. Now this is really, really important information to know, because as a songwriter and as a producer, you can make a lot more money off of publishing in the cases of really successful songs than you'll ever make off of upfront advances. And just as an example, the person that created the Jeopardy theme song, that little short, barely 1 minute melody that you hear every time you watch the Jeopardy show, has made well over $70 million since that first time that that show was aired. Publishing is important. So now that we know what a copyright is and exactly how to get one, now it's time to actually get into the parts that seem to be confusing a lot of producers and songwriters as they're coming up in the industry. Now, as I said before, the second that you finish creating your song, you are the owner of that song. You own 100% of that song, with 50% of that song actually being owned by you as the writer, and then 50% of that song being owned by you as the publisher. But because this is the music industry, a lot of it is going to be collaborative, which means that you're gonna have to deal with co-writers. So that means whether you're a songwriter who needs a producer, an artist that needs a producer, or a producer that needs an artist or a songwriter, it's really important to know how the ownership shares of that song are going to break down. So for example, if you're an artist and you use a beat from a producer, according to copyright law, right off the bat, you're gonna split the song 50-50. which means that you own 50% of the song as the writer of the song, and the producer would own 50% of the song as the composer. So now for anyone who's been working in the music industry or been trying to break into the music industry or even just making songs as a hobby for more than a day, you know that this tends to be where things can start to get a little bit muddy. And what I mean by that is if you don't make it clear in the very beginning of the song making process who owns what in the song or who's going to own what in a song, then in some of the worst case scenarios, you might actually end up in a situation where no one seems to know exactly who owns what in a song. I mean, no one wants to release a hit record and then all of a sudden get sued for publishing by your homie that was sitting back in the corner and said, yo, I don't like that hi-hat to the producer. And now all of a sudden they want 30% of the song when that's all they said in the entire session. And one of the best and most professional ways to actually deal with this issue before it even comes up is by just signing something called a split sheet. Now, the split sheet is basically just a formal document that is going to list everyone that is involved and should be getting credit for the creation of the song. And once you sign that document, everyone should get a copy of that song. So if you're the songwriter, you should get a copy. And if you're the producer, you should get a copy. And you hold on to that copy for the future, so that when the song actually comes out, no one will actually be able to try to get more of a percentage out of the song because everything is already listed on that document, which is called the split sheet. And for those of you who don't actually have access to a split sheet, I created my own. I've been using this same split sheet for the past few years now. It's always worked out for me. And if you look down in the description, you can see a free download link. So just go there, download it, use it whenever you guys go into your sessions, and you should be good. And just as another quick tip, another way to solidify the splits for your songs is by simply going to your PRO or your performance rights organization, so whether you're signed up with ASCAP or BMI, and simply registering your song with them. And now the last thing to keep in mind when it comes to copyright is that once you've actually filled out the split sheets or you registered your song with your PRO to make it official what the splits for a song are, it now becomes what's known as a joint work. And what a joint work basically means is that once the splits for a song are officially decided, there's no longer any separation between the music behind the song and the lyrics behind the song. And what that basically means is that if you're an artist and you release your song, and let's say someone that works at an ad agency decides that they want to use your song in a commercial, if they decide that they only want to play the beat, you're still going to get paid. It doesn't mean that just because the music for the song was played that you're not going to be getting paid for that. As long as you're an official credited songwriter on that song, then you're going to get paid regardless of how that song is exploited in the public. And that's it. Those are really pretty much all of the basics that you need to know about copyright. Now, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching all the way through. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, please hit me up down in the comment section. I don't bite. I will comment. I will answer any questions that you have. Hit the like button if you like the video. Please subscribe. Also, if you want to check out the next video that I'm going to be doing on PROs, hit the notification bell so you can find out exactly when I'm going to be doing it. You'll get an alert on your phone. And don't forget, if you do want to get that split sheet so that you can actually bring it into your sessions and make sure that all of the splits and everything on your songs are right so you don't got any problems in the future, go ahead and get it in the free download link. I have it right there in the description. And again, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next video.